We begin in Farewell, Oregon, where the local population is dealing with the chaos caused by a virus that's decimating the entire world, turning a large portion of humanity into violent zombie-like creatures called freakers. Mongrel's Motorcycle Club, or MC, member Deacon St. John, his research scientist and botanist wife Sarah Whitaker, along with their close friend and fellow MC member William Boozer Gray, attempt to flee to safety. Sarah is stabbed and critically wounded, forcing Deacon to place her on a National Emergency Response Organization, or NERO, helicopter for evacuation and medical treatment. However, since the helicopter is almost at weight capacity, only having enough room left for her and one other occupant, and Boozer is also injured, Deacon decides to stay behind to help him, while promising Sarah he'll reunite with her later. 2 years later, Deacon and Boozer are living and working throughout Oregon as mercenaries. Sarah is presumed dead because the NERO refugee camp the helicopter was taking her to was overrun by freakers. With both Sarah and the rest of the MC gone, leaving nothing tying them to the area, Deacon and Boozer plan to head north in search of a better life, but they're attacked by a gang of cultists who worship the freakers, called the Rest in Peace, or RIP, cult, also known as Rippers. The Rippers severely burn Boozer's arm in the attack, leading Deacon to search for medical supplies to help him recover. The duo learn that the Rippers are targeting them specifically, for reasons unknown to them. Deacon sees a NERO helicopter and follows it, eventually meeting James O'Brien, the NERO researcher who evacuated Sarah on the helicopter 2 years earlier. O'Brien reveals that Sarah's helicopter was diverted to a different camp mid-flight, meaning that it's possible she's still alive. Boozer's health continues to decline, and Deacon takes him to the Lost Lake camp, which is led by Iron Mike Wilcox, with Ricky Patil as his second in command, and Raymond Schizo Sarkozy as his head of security. As the camp's doctor, Addison Walker, amputates Boozer's gangrenous arm, O'Brien contacts Deacon and offers to help him find Sarah in exchange for him following NERO helicopters, spying on other NERO Research Project scientists in the field, and relaying what they discover regarding the freakers to O'Brien. Schizo, being distrustful of the Rippers' uneasy alliance with Lost Lake, secretly makes his own deal with them, betraying Deacon by turning him over to the cult to restore the peace and protect the camp. Deacon learns that the Rippers' leader, who now goes by the name Carlos, was previously Jesse Williamson, a former MC member who was kicked out for betraying their code, having his mongrel's tattoos burned off by Jack, the MC's leader, while Deacon and Boozer held him down. Carlos instructed the Rippers to hunt the duo for revenge, which is why his cult members burned Boozer's arm, and Carlos proceeds to burn Deacon's arm while he's imprisoned. Deacon escapes from the Rippers' territory with the help of Lisa Jackson, a teenage girl he previously rescued who became a Ripper. After escaping, Deacon returns to Lost Lake, which is under attack by the Rippers, and assists survivors while killing the invaders until a ceasefire air horn is sounded. Iron Mike and Carlos have a meeting to discuss the conflict, where Deacon forces Schizo to admit his betrayal, leading to his imprisonment within the camp to await a trial. Afterward, Deacon and Boozer use explosives to destroy the dam located in the Ripper territory, drowning the majority of the Rippers, before assaulting their headquarters to kill the remaining members, including Carlos. Upon returning to Lost Lake, Iron Mike informs Deacon that he released and exiled Schizo from the camp because he believed that Schizo wouldn't have received a fair trial. Deacon realizes that Sarah, being a government researcher with federal security clearance, would have been prioritized during a NERO refugee camp evacuation, and O'Brien confirms that she was moved to a military outpost, a volcanic cinder cone called Wizard Island, located within Crater Lake, which is now controlled by the Deschutes County Militia. O'Brien also warns Deacon that NERO research indicates the freakers are evolving, becoming even more dangerous. Deacon gains the trust of the militia's leader, Colonel Matthew Garrett, attaining corporal rank, and is informed by Garrett that the caves of Wizard Island's cone are being used for what he calls the Ark, a secure stronghold repository for all of human civilization's knowledge and achievements, which the militia is continually gathering in the form of seeds, plants, computer files, and books. At Wizard Island, Deacon finally reunites with Sarah, who holds the rank of lieutenant and is ostensibly working to create a bioweapon to destroy the freakers. Deacon and Sarah decide to obtain a required DNA sequencer from her old research facility, Cloverdale, where they discover that her research was secretly used by the company to develop a bioweapon, the Freaker virus, leading to the outbreak when David Gorman, an intern, stole a sample as proof to notify the public, but ended up unknowingly infecting himself and spreading the virus to others. Sarah reveals to Deacon that she's been working to cure the freakers rather than destroy them, and he encourages her to continue working on it even after her latest attempt fails. But after Wizard Island's doctor, Captain Arturo Jimenez, is killed by Private Wade Taylor while stealing drugs from the infirmary, an increasingly paranoid Garrett puts Sarah into protective custody. Deacon coordinates with O'Brien to attempt a helicopter rescue of both himself and Sarah, but Schizo arrives at Wizard Island, telling Garrett about Lost Lake and convincing him that Deacon is a traitor, which, coupled with the appearance of a NERO helicopter and the discovery of the radio he's been using to communicate with O'Brien, lead Garrett to conclude that Deacon is a spy, ordering his imprisonment and execution. Before this can take place, a sympathetic camp officer who realizes that Garrett has become mentally unstable, Captain Derek Curry, frees Deacon, who then returns to Lost Lake, finding it has been attacked by the militia, and speaking with Iron Mike just before he succumbs to his wounds from the assault and dies. Deacon rallies the remaining members of Lost Lake to retaliate against the militia by attacking Wizard Island with a massive truck bomb, consisting of a reinforced dump truck modified by Ricky, loaded with fertilizer from within the former Ripper territory and creosote from an old sawmill, locations which both have a huge freaker group, or horde, that Deacon manages to kill. After finalizing preparations, including a device that will attach to the truck bomb's steering wheel to allow the driver to jump out before the impact and explosion, the Lost Lake attack group heads to Wizard Island, with Boozer driving the truck toward the main gate and Deacon riding on top of it. When the truck is almost at the gate and it's time for them to jump off, Boozer refuses, claiming they only have one chance to succeed and he wants to ensure the truck hits its target by driving it himself. The truck crashes into the gate, destroying it in a massive explosion and allowing the rest of the group to gain access to the inner camp. The militia seals the cave access tunnels at the base of the Ark with explosives, forcing Deacon to fight his way to the top entrance and descend within from there. Eventually locating Schizo, who is attempting to force the camp's explosives expert, Lieutenant James Weaver, to give him a bomb detonator in order to seal the Ark's top entrance as well, Deacon attacks Schizo, allowing Weaver to escape. After fighting through another group of militia, and almost dying to an explosion caused by Schizo, an exhausted Deacon faces him one-on-one, and manages to kill him. Afterward, Deacon finds Garrett, who is holding Sarah and the remaining militia members at gunpoint within the innermost part of the Ark, drinking tea while making a speech. Garrett tells Deacon to drop his weapon and sit down. Deacon complies to prevent the chance of Sarah being harmed, and after a brief struggle, Garrett succumbs to the poison from the hemlock plant that Sarah secretly put into his tea and dies. Regrouping with the Lost Lake members at the Wizard Island entrance, Boozer miraculously reappears, having jumped from the truck into the water at the last second. Weaver decides to stay behind to rebuild Wizard Island without the militaristic hierarchy, and Deacon, Sarah, Boozer, Ricky, and Addison, along with the other surviving attack group members, return to Lost Lake. O'Brien contacts Deacon one last time, and at their meeting, reveals that Nero has always known about the virus's mutagenic effects, and that he himself is an evolved freaker, able to retain his intelligence while still benefiting from physical enhancements. He warns Deacon that Nero is coming, and that nothing will stop them.